for men and women, but there's a commonality, a common thread there where there's a loss of personal power in handling those things. So that's what I do. I work with people on that.
And that's amazing. And I'm very happy that there are people that feel empowered to do something like that. Because I was even listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was saying that in America, that 67% of everyone in America, or everyone on the study, is living an unhappy life, or feel that they are not living a happy life or the best that they can. So for somebody like you to, try to help people, especially in this very specific way, it's, I've got a lot of gratitude and appreciation for somebody like that. So what are kind of the areas that you focus on? New relationship, all relationships?
Yeah. So I would say like the three main tiers are relationship with yourself, your current relationships, and that can be your romantic relationship or just your relationships in your life, which by the way is so much of people's happiness, and we somehow ignore that or forget that a lot, focusing so much on the individual. But and then also I'd say probably the most common thing I support people in is in their journey of finding love or bringing forth the love and relationship that they want. That's the most common, but I work with people in all three of those dimensions.
Good. So we're going to get more into, what you do and what you provide and how you help people. But first, I think we'd all like to know, where did you get started? How did this become something that you felt empowered to proceed?
Sure. So I've been involved with empowering people to fulfill the life of their dreams for a long time, as a psychotherapist, as a spiritual healer, and then as a transformational coach with a personal development company. So I did that for a long time. When I decided to, there's so many places. My love life was crap, if I'm really honest with you.
I think we've all been there.
But and for a long time, I had 2, I would say, near marriages, but that they just weren't actually a match for me, and I had no idea why or what I was doing. And then my single life got messier and messier and messier. So I was working on myself for a really long time and thinking, okay, if I focus on the individual, then my match will appear, right? And that's sort of what we're told, and that does make sense to a degree, but it was not happening for me.
Right.
Anyhow, I transformed that whole area, and we can talk a little bit more about that later. But through that relationship that I manifested, so to speak, I wanted to have a family. All the dreams that I had deep down that I wasn't really saying became possible. And at the time, I was working for a company that was amazing. I made a huge difference in, but it was 13 to 15 hours a day, and it wasn't conducive to the kind of whole life that I wanted to live. It was just a segment of the life I wanted to live. So I decided to go back into my own, having my own business and my own clientele, and I didn't want to be stuck in one location. I used to have an office, and then I was like, well, what if we want to move? What if we want to buy a house in the country? I don't know. And I realized, why not be worldwide? We have the World Wide Web for a reason. So that was the first piece, was discovering that. And then I worked with a business coach, and her first recommendation was niching. And that was really challenging for me, because I was all about loving life. I want everyone to love their life, and can I just say that? And she said, well, start with your favorite personal transformation. And my personal favorite transformation that seemed so unlikely was finding the kind of love I actually envisioned and truly desired. And I coincidentally had caused that transformation through a personal project that I had done. So it was quite easy for me to turn that into a program for people. And that was the birthing of
That's amazing.
of it.
Is it possible to achieve the love life you desire, or do you think, because of societal influences or anything like that? Do you think that some people kind of have this blinders on about what love or the perfect relationship actually is?
Well, one of the first questions, the thing to look at, is to get really clear, and I do this with the Power Love Project, is you get clear about what you actually desire. So what we say we desire and what we're often going after often contradicts what we actually want, or it's so narrow. Just as an example, and I get challenged on this a lot, but a lot of women, for instance, will say, I want a man of a certain height. And that's fine.
I saw that you had a YouTube video. Are women into smaller men?
And it's fine. You can want what you want, and there's ways of going after it. But the trouble is often when women, for instance, it's just an example, don't realize is it's not so much the height that they want. They want to feel safe. They want to feel feminine. They want to, have the experience, like that experience with a man. And height doesn't guarantee that.
No.
Height does not guarantee safety. Height does not guarantee you'll feel feminine. And so there's a lot of work that we can, so getting clear about wanting that experience. I want to feel safe with a man. I want to really feel like a woman, just as an example. We can actually go to work on looking at, okay, well, what are the variety of traits that actually provide that by a man? And maybe he'll be tall, maybe he won't, we'll just sort of see. But once you have that experience, a lot of things that we thought we needed and wanted kind of they become so insignificant compared to the truth of what we wanted. And a lot of stuff too, we need to work on ourselves. Do we really need a man to make a woman feel feminine? Like, can we not do the work within ourselves to feel the way we really want to feel within ourselves? Then it just opens up a whole world. So, so I'd say the way people create their clarity actually pigeonholes them in a direction that doesn't actually. It reduces their chances of finding what they actually want.
Very interesting. And we've brought this up a few times on the show, that is, if you want to become successful in your business, in your relationships, in love, or just the people that you see on a day-to-day basis, you have to kind of really narrow it down and be clear on what you want, right?
Yeah.
So we've this whole first. See, this is why I love having people like you on, because these segments go so fast, and I wish I had 100 hours, but we're going to take a quick break, and I want to talk to you about when we come back, how you started your own business, and we'll go from there.
Great.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
And we are back. Thank you very much for sticking with us, guys, on that short commercial break. We're here with Michelle Baxo, love coach. We really got to get to know you in the first segment, and I really appreciate you opening up and everything like that. So you decided to essentially start your own business, your own coaching company, right? So
That's right.
How did you migrate from, you said 13 to 15 hours, so I'm assuming it was kind of in the corporate world, right?
Sort of. It was a personal development company.
Right,
so
okay.
I was fulfilling a passion of mine, which was empowering people to live the life they want to live while developing myself as a human being. It was awesome. But it's the kind of company where if you're going to work there, you're kind of like, you're all in, right? And while, of course, they support people in having kids and all of those, but the way, if I wanted to be there, I was, you know what I mean? I was like all in, but I did the all in for 4 years, and I could just see the kind of, why I loved working there and why I love doing what I'm doing is I'm passionate about people having the whole life that they want, right? And so it doesn't just have to be passion and career. Like how can we get really creative and move the pieces around? And entrepreneurship is such a beautiful way to piece together the puzzle called your whole life, or the life of your your dreams, right?
Well, and I say this all the time. It's amazing. Once you have found your calling or your purpose, or you've found that you're waking up every morning without an alarm, or maybe it's something as simple as just waking up with a smile.
Yeah.
When you've found that, you want to share it with people. So, the reason why everybody asks, why do I spend so much time every day helping other realtors or helping random people? Like, I get a lot of messages, on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. And I spend a lot of time talking people through things and giving away value and free information, just because life, we only have one shot at it, right?
I know,
And we only have one chance, and everybody should know that they have the opportunity to live a happy life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And entrepreneurism is one of the ways that you can, it's extremely stressful, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but it's very rewarding on the other hand, right?
Yeah. If you can be okay with the risk, if you can be okay with the accountability, like what I would say is, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs succeed and many fail.
Yes.
And I would say, in terms of what has people fail, is if they're going into entrepreneurship because they don't want to be held accountable for something. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't want a boss, for instance. Okay, but now you're. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I mean, your clientele is kind of your boss, right? I mean, there is no getting away from being accountable and that feeling of being mildly dominated by the accountability in order to be successful. So that's where I think the passion in what you do, and I truly believe that entrepreneurship is the best personal development program you can ever do, because you
learn a ton about yourself, a ton about other people.
Yeah. So I think that I do think it's definitely our way, but I also know it's not for everybody. But people who have that itch, it's like, you gotta do it.
You gotta do it, right? You gotta do something.
Right, because one life to live, like you said, like we've got this one life, and
what is it? How has running your own business? We're talking about how you affect other people's lives, but how has it affected your life?
It's given me the capacity to. Probably the most significant right now is it's given me the ability to be raising my daughter while fulfilling my passion and my purpose.
Right, that's so important.
Oh my gosh, because it is because it's so easy, and anyone and any of your viewers who are moms will know it's so, your baby's born and like they become your whole world, and it's so easy to have that happen. It's a beautiful thing, but just like in an unhealthy relationship, if you can get lost in that as well. And so I, it's sort of been a gradual increase of hours as she gets a little bit older. But I'm so grateful to have part of who I am and the difference I make in a business that I've created, that I have a say in, that I could scale back and scale up. My hands are on the levers and the dials. And so it's given me the ability to do that and not miss my daughter growing up,
So you help a lot of people with love, relationships, and things like that. How does it work with your own relationship? I mean, obviously, it is tough to take your own advice, but is it something that you're consciously thinking about all the time?
Kind of.
Do you make mistakes as well?
Well, both.
Yeah.
I am thinking about it all the time. I'd say probably one of my clients' favorite things about the way I coach is I use my own personal life in my mentorship, coaching, my advice. I think it's really easy to talk transformation, talk development, talk challenging yourself, talk vulnerability. It's a whole other thing when you're doing it. So no, I mean, I have the same challenge. One thing I got really clear on, just as an example, is in being a new mom, holy cow, did I realize I can completely understand how and why so many marriages and relationships fall apart after having a kid. And so for me, I thought, I'm like, okay, well, this is the perfect opportunity to be walking the talk and discovering, and I've discovered new things to add to the way I support people. For example, the importance of, you've got these two pieces. So I believe in, someone said this to me once, an H relationship instead of an A relationship. So if you think like there's the two sticks, an H relationship, you've got two people that are bound together. An A relationship, if you take the relationship away or either person away, they fall over. So in H, they're still standing, right? So having two people who are honoring their own alignment, being responsible for their own happiness, while having it like Tommy and I have it our business to make sure the other person's empowered and fulfilled and so on. And it's not easy, like there's lots of, we all kind of want to be like, what about me? But so yeah, I love power, love in my life. It's my structure for making sure.
I really love that because even when I was reading up about you and things like that, it's a lot of it is self-love. Right?
Oh yeah,
you have to. I love that analogy because you look at so many toxic relationships, especially like I remember all my friends in high school. I had a girlfriend, and when they would get together, you would never see them. They relied on each other way too much.
Yeah,
and you just see it really collapse, and that's why I love that analogy because they felt like they couldn't live without one another. And what's up with that? I understand having passion and loving your spouse so much, but at the same time, if you're not loving yourself, when that love starts to deteriorate or some roadblocks or obstacles come into play, you just fall apart.
Yeah, well, because what you're doing is in that kind of model of relationship, you're putting your worth, your value, your happiness, your fulfillment in another person and having it be their job for you to feel that way. And that's, first of all, that's not fair to the other person.
Absolutely
not.
And
it's not fair to yourself. So it's amazing when, and this is, a lot when I work with people, whether they're looking for love or already in a relationship, most of the work that we actually do is in their relationship with themselves. Because how we relate to ourselves becomes how we, how we make requests of others, how we ensure that we're, taking care of ourselves, taking time for ourselves, filling our own cup, having healthy boundaries. There's all these different components to the relationship that have so much to do with you being a whole person. So when you have a whole person with a whole person who's interested in the other person being whole too, then that's when you get the 1 + 1 = 3 that people really want.
So how do you what kind of advice or because there's a lot of people watching this that are business owners. There's a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, salespeople, and their careers are very, very demanding.
Yes.
So it's one thing to be empowered and be able to rely on yourself while maintaining a good relationship, but when is it too much? And how can somebody balance that out? For my own personal experience, I was in the corporate world. I was working 12 to 14-hour days, 6 days a week. And then I quit my job and started my own business.
Yeah.
And some might say that I work more hours, but I don't realize it. So I'm finding my path, and that my path is very, very important to me.
Yes, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want it to affect my spouse's life.
Well, yeah. So one piece of advice I would say is both people need to be up to something other than that relationship.
Yes.
Right. So that could be from your job. Now, it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It could be you've got your job that's just, pays the bills, but then you have another passion or another way that you're just like, you're up to something bigger than yourself, or that's at least expanding yourself. And when you have two people that are doing that, then it becomes a lot easier. You take it less personally when one partner is, say, doing their job, doing their career. That being said, so how I look at, I talked about alignment a minute ago, right? Like how it's our way to being our whole self. Yeah. So, we all have our different priorities. Men actually are a little bit better at this than women traditionally. But a lot of people, what we do is we have our priorities in a ladder, a hierarchical model, right? So I've got my top priority, my second priority, my third, fourth. When we do that, we really only spend time on and energy and thinking on the first. The second might get a little attention, and then everything else is sort of hit and miss. It's spotty, right? So what I recommend is that people think of it more, and it's honestly just mindset, think of it more as a pie. And you might have different sizes. Yeah, like most people spend more time at work than in other things. But if you think of it as a pie, then you're always tending to everything at least a little.
Yeah.
And you know, otherwise you've got a hole in the pie,
Yeah.
right? So someone stole a slice, right? So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay that some things are bigger slices. And I think in any relationship, it's really normal that people, and healthy, if people have, that the relationship is a slice of the pie, but it needs to always be a slice of the pie.
Okay. I really agree with that. Sorry to cut you off. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Great.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. You know, the large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
World-famous spiritual astrologer and psychic Pandit Sai is born to serve people. He's an expert on palmistry and horoscope. He can handle all problems and give Vedic solutions for business, job, love, marriage, husband and wife problems, children, personal, and many others, including depression. He also performs pujas to clear all sorts of obstacles. Call Pandit Sai and see changes in your life now. 647-766-1419. Located at 2895 Derry Road, East Mississauga, Airport Road and Derry.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just tuning in, I'm Andrew Perry from the Daily Reel, and I'm with Michelle Baxo, Love Coach, and we've been migrating through a variety of different topics, and how to have a successful.
That too. We want that too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too, I'm sure. A successful relationship, and you know what? And it all stems down to self-love, empowering yourself, as well as empowering your spouse, obviously. But where did we leave off? We left off with the analogy of a lot of people put their priorities in a ladder formation where, one gets a little bit more attention than the other. And as you're focusing on the next one, you're kind of losing your priorities. And then you brought the analogy up of a pie, where you need to kind of give attention to all aspects of your life. And relationship is a huge one, but you've got your work, your hobbies, and everything like that. So how important is it for both people to kind of have the same goals? Maybe not goals. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but they need to have their own life, right?
Yes, they do need to have to have a healthy, lasting, happy relationship. They need to have their own life, but they can't just have their own life. There also needs to be a commitment to the relationship and to the connection.
Right.
So there is a little bit of differences between how, and I'm using generalizations, but to how men and women often falter in those areas. So women, I'd say our biggest pitfall is that we will give we're just so we're the nurturers, right? So we accommodate and we over accommodate. And then we become resentful because you're not over accommodating back, right? Yep. But when we're over accommodating, that means we're compromising. It means we're compromising parts of ourselves and things that are important to us. And so that model doesn't work. I would say for men, the more common thing. So men are pretty good at compartmentalizing. They know that they have different things that are important to them, but because men are so purpose and solution focused, that the concept of working on connection, I think, is a very challenging concept for men. Like, it's more, well, just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. And that doesn't really go well for women. It's not about what you do, it's who you be. And so because you've got these two different pitfalls, it's like it's so easy for relationships to not work if I'm just really honest, right?
And then you put contrast.
and then you put a life challenge in there, like a death or someone gets ill or someone loses their job or whatever, and now all of a sudden you don't have that solid rock foundation, it becomes very challenging.
Yeah. Or a kid who won't put on his clothes and is running around in the morning naked. Oh my God. Nothing's more stressful and cute and makes me smile and cry at the same time.
I get it. My daughter's 14 months, right? And so she's discovered I don't have to lie down when you want to change me. And so the mission is, how do I not get poop everywhere?
Right? How do we deal, how important is, we talked about living even living your own life, but where does communication come in?
Everywhere.
Right? Okay, all right, see?
But it's not
There's
always
the contrast
the way.
again. I would have said 50% of the time.
Well, no, it doesn't mean you have to always be talking, but communication is almost always the solution. Now, obviously, we'd say actions speak louder than words. That's true. But in order to, another common pitfall is that people assume they know what the other person wants and needs. And we do a lot, or we try to hint at what we want and need. And it's like this, it's just communication. If done correctly, communication is kind of like, hey, here's how to win with me. Tell me how to win with you. Yeah. And then we can go on living our awesome lives and have a really great relationship. And the drama just drops.
Yeah.
So
no drama.
Now, communication can lead to drama, and that's where,
naturally.
But that's when you're unclear about what you're communicating for and about, right? So that's where, again, like a relationship. I said entrepreneurship is a really great personal development program. So is a relationship if you really are actively interested in having an empowered and empowering relationship.
Right. And when we talk about communication, we're not just talking about, hi, how's your day? Just your average conversation. Communication, and at least in terms of what I'm speaking of, is you have to make your goals clear to the other spouse.
And respect the goals of the other, right? And so that's where the communicate, for sure. That's, and this is something Tommy and I do regularly. We have to do regularly.
Like a team meeting.
It is kind of like a team meeting, right? It's kind of like, and I sort of have a rule, like we can talk about it, but nothing's set in stone unless we both have our calendars out and we're doing this together, right? So what are the things that are coming up that are important to you? Okay, well, these are the things that I had in mind. How can we navigate it? How can we get creative to have things work for both of us? And, and that includes like our time together and, going on and not just having the mundane, how was your day, dear relationship? Like, okay, good. Let's also make sure we put in an adventure and what, have we had sex lately? Let's make sure we do that. It might sound sort of strange to be that transparent, but it's just a nice drama-free way to have the relationship that you want.
And I love it. I mean, some men, maybe some women, might think that those types of conversations take the love out of it. Or do you think they might have that perception because maybe it's already gone, or maybe they're just, I don't know, watching too many romantic movies?
That does happen. I think mostly, I think more there's a resistance because either there's been past conversations where it went on and on forever and ever, and that happens if one person doesn't feel heard. So if one person doesn't feel heard, then they'll keep saying and hashing it out over and over and over and over again until the other person finally says, oh, I get what you're saying. What you're saying is da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, good, now we can move on. So when you have the right communication skills, these conversations can move with velocity and be really powerful. But to your point about, do we have this romantic notion, I think that's more about putting the happiness and fulfillment in the hands of someone else.
Right.
I want you to just know what I want. I want you to just know how I feel. Or, from a man's perspective, I want you to just know what I need, right? And
I love that contrast. Didn't think about that.
It's just slightly different, right? But again, if someone doesn't know, and our individual rules change. So even if you've been together for 20 years, to assume that what the other person wants, needs, desires is the same, it's like, boring.
I totally get it. And just to kind of switch gears, we have a little bit of time in this last segment here. So we kind of we brought up that romantic movies or societal influences
Yeah.
may affect the way a woman sees the relationship, but I think it's the same thing for men. I mean,
Yeah.
you've probably read that that men who watch porn can affect their sexual part of the relationship, right?
Yeah, well, definitely. It's really like anything. It's the way often many people go about their lives too, right? So men and women, if we're watching for how things ought to be through a constructed fabrication of reality, then we're not in reality anymore.
Right.
Like it's not, the media in some ways reflects life, but not really, right? So yeah, for sure. So for men, I mean, that can happen where men will be really terrible in bed actually because they're trying to have porn sex.
Yeah.
That's not actually what women want. Sometimes
Right.
women will actually be terrible in bed because they're trying to be that porn sex for a man. And actually a man wants a woman to enjoy herself, not be a porn star in bed. He actually wants to see her satisfied and fulfilled and in her body and all these things. So it's another example of where that's what we watch and what we view is part of what screws with our heads around what we actually want versus what we think we want.
That's such a huge division in relationships, and it's really hard. It's one that's really difficult to counter. I mean, what kind of advice do you give to somebody who's kind of living in that distant non-reality, I guess you could say?
Get a coach.
Yeah, right.
Like honestly,
right?
that's why
Talk
I
to
don't.
his
That's why I don't
therapist.
just do one session with people because
takes
it's
a while.
like it's reprogramming of our brains. Like that is actually what's needed for a lot of people. That's what was needed for me. I didn't do it alone. I had people like coaching the crap out of me so that I could fulfill on what it was that I actually wanted, in contrast to what I'm doing, what I'm saying I want. My actions, like it was all a big mess. And that's usually what it is for people, is just as an example, and I mean, I can use myself as an example, but it happens with some of my clients too, is, many people, men and women, will say they want, I'd love to have a family someday. I'd love to have a partner that, where it's a true partnership. Like we say that, and then we, go and our attempt in fulfilling that is through having a few beers and hoping to go home with someone that night, right? And then or going after someone that is sexy and maybe pulls on your desire strings, but is a train wreck and not actually partner material, and trying, and so there's all these inconsistencies there that make the journey cyclical, and so you never actually move forward towards what you actually want. So so my advice to kind of circle back is to do the work to get clear about what you actually want, like in your truth, outside of the norms, outside of what your parents want you to have, outside of what the other mistake people make is they think they want the opposite of their ex, but then they just swing to another problem, right? It's not the opposite of your ex that you want. It's and so it's all this reactive dating, but doing the work to get really clear about what it is that you want, and then having your actions be consistent with that, which we don't know. None of us want to see how inconsistent we are. The same with entrepreneurship. You can get that with entrepreneurship too, right?
It's
like, I say I want
to job, right? A consistent way of of becoming successful is to be consistent and to not drop the ball. Okay, so we're on our last break. We're gonna see you in just a couple of seconds.
Hello everyone, my name is Jermaine Chambers, and I'm very excited to tell you about the newest political and current affairs program coming here to Brampton. It's called On Point.
The first step of true reconciliation is learning more about one another.
Join us on Tuesdays from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. as we discuss all the issues.
I will never forget the trust you put in me.
Municipal, provincial, federal, and any issue of national importance we will talk about on Point. So do join us.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
And we are back, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We're into our final segment. We really appreciate you guys sticking with us and tuning in. So we've kind of got to know you, Michelle. We've got to hear from you and some advice that you have for couples and self-love and things like that. So, but now I want to bring it back to you. So you have your own coaching business essentially, right?
Yeah.
What kind of programs or how does it work for those struggling? What are the programs you offer?
Sure. So there's really two main ways that I can support people. So one, if people want to if people are looking for love, for example, so in particular, if they're looking for love and they want to take my best advice and follow the journey, but do it themselves, then I have a program called Power Love Project. So that's an online program. It's 8 modules, lifetime access, and it takes them through all the personal development and the accountability of being in consistent action to be the kind of person that attracts the kind of person they really want to be in, right? Or be in a relationship with. So that's my transformational program for finding love, Power Love Project. So that's kind of like the DIY version. And some people love that and they go and they run with it. I find a lot of people want a little bit more support than that. So I offer a mentorship program. And I call it a mentorship program because mostly because coaching gives us the idea that it's just like asking questions, but I want to give myself the freedom to tell you what to do too. And sometimes people just want to know, they just tell me and I will. And also while having you go through your own personal journey and discoveries and so on, right? But so I also offer a mentorship program. So it's called Power Love Mentorship, and where they have unlimited coaching from me for a year. And we're working on, everything. So your relationship with yourself, taking the right actions to fulfill your whole. So in some ways, this is almost like not just love, but all of life, because it's about living your whole life so you can be the kind of person you want to be and attract someone else who's living a whole life, or empower your partner to be doing that as well through your own example and empowering them. So we all look at the whole life and work together for a year through all of the challenging, the ups and downs and all arounds of what goes on in someone's journey of love over the course of a year.
What kind of, and just so, in case people are wondering if, they feel like, you know what, mentorship's not for me. Coaching's not for me. Talking to somebody's, I don't think I'm there yet. So what type of people are the ones who are reaching out to you? Like what kind of problems are they struggling with?
So usually they're people who are successful in most areas of their life. Like they're confident, confident, successful people that are like, I got my SHIT together and, but why can't I get my love life to work? And they're people who want to now make it a priority, or who have made it a priority and it just keeps not happening. So, I don't work with 16-year-olds, for example, right? Who are just like, I just want to have fun. I work with people who really who know that they want usually a committed life partnership, and they want to get out of their own way. And usually the people I work with have done some work on themselves already, so they get it. It's like, I had a coach to get my business rocking, or I went to school in order to establish this career. And why wouldn't I put the same care and attention into my relationships? So said another way, there are also people who don't just want the default automatic status quo relationships. They want the relationship to be as badass as the rest of their life.
Okay. And so you've got the mentorship, and then you've got the 8 modules.
So I've got an online program, sort of like a DIY, program that guides you through the whole journey of finding love. The mentorship is also more flexible because it could be someone who's in a relationship. It could be someone most of my clients are in their journey of finding love. But because it's a mentorship, you know, it's customized, right, to each person. So whatever they're dealing with, wherever they're getting in their own way, or if they have something that's like just out of reach in their current relationship, almost always, if we have a real deal conversation, their relationship with themselves is a biggie too. Right. We can't see it when we're busy, but when we kind of stop and look and go, yeah, why do I keep settling for crumbs? Or why do I keep avoiding relationships? Or why do I keep not attracting the kind of person that would, be a match? Then that it's always to the inner work.
Yeah. Do you do anything with couples, or is it just one-on-one?
No, in the past, so back when I was a psychotherapist, I did work with couples. I don't currently. Usually the kind of work that we do, it really only takes one person. But sometimes what happens, I work with one person and then they refer someone in their life to do it too. So far, I've only done it where we've kept them very, very separate and completely confidential. But I know how to, because I used to do relationship counseling, we can navigate it in a way that is together, but not yet. Yeah. Someone would have to... get me excited about that possibility.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it goes back to what, we spent a lot of time talking about, and, working on yourself first, loving yourself, empowering yourself.
It does so much. Yeah. And that's the thing is, why I often don't do relationship counseling is we want it to be the other person, but where are we not taking responsibility for having the hard conversations, for taking a stand for what we want, for having the other person excited about what we want? Are we getting excited about what the other person wants? Are we having it be as important to us as our own things? Like, there's so much you can do just from the individual side, but most people don't want to hear that, and they want to know, how do I fix my partner? Yeah. Almost always. And I get it, right? But there's a lot, and you can really make a difference in your partner's life too through your own work.
I completely agree.
Similarly, I'll just add to this. Sure. When it comes to finding love, which is the most common thing I support people in, a lot of times say, but I can't find any of the good men or women, right? It's like, but where are they? And we think that the problem is that they're just not there. Yeah. But that also, it seems like voodoo magic, but it's not, but it seems like it. But when we do certain work with ourselves, when we change the way we think, when we get out of our own way, when we remove the barriers we didn't even realize were there, all of a sudden there's awesome people all around. Yeah. It's wild. But you're changing your brain, so then you change what you see, right? Absolutely.
You know what? This is the last final minutes of the show. Yeah. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. So, where can we find you on social media? Yeah. Plug time. Talk about your YouTube channel.
Sure. Yeah. So if you just Google Michelle Baxo, you'll see everything.
Baxo.
Baxo. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Yep. You can even add me I like having all kinds of people as Facebook friends. You can even friend me.
Good. Yeah.
And then there's my website, michellebaxo.com, and there's all kinds of free things you can do on there too.
Oh, good.
So there's a visualization exercise to get really clear about the kind of person you want to be. There's a webinar on looking for love without compromising yourself. So there's some goodies there, and that also tells you how to contact me if you want to contact me.
Okay, good. Well, guys, thank you very much for tuning in for another episode of the Daily Real podcast. We have all of Michelle's social media links in the description. Go check her out. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Feel free to add her as a friend or reach out.
And you just can't be weird. I won't add the weird ones.
Well, yeah, I feel like in your business there could be a whole bunch of weird
Don't ask me to marry you or something. Yeah.
If you're the love coach, why don't I just marry you, right?
That's right.
Anyways, guys, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on. We will see you next week at 10 a.m. Tuesday on the MyTCN social media platforms.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.